August 14th, 2005. The morning sky over the Mediterranean was a perfect, piercing blue. Helios Airways Flight 522 took off from Cyprus with 121 souls on board, headed for Athens. It was supposed to be a routine, short-haul flight. Instead, it became one of the most haunting mysteries in aviation history, the story of the ghost plane. 15 minutes into the flight, as the Boeing 737 climbed through 12,000 feet, a piercing warning horn filled the cockpit. The captain, Hans-Eugen Martin, and his first officer were confused. They recognized the sound, but they misidentified it as a takeoff configuration, alarm, something that usually only happens on the ground. They didn't realize the aircraft was actually screaming a much more dire warning. The cabin was failing to pressurize. As the plane continued its climb to 34,000 feet, the air grew thin and the oxygen levels plummeted. In the back of the plane, the emergency masks dropped. Passengers scrambled for them, but those masks only provided about 15 minutes of air. In the cockpit, the pilots were losing the ability to think clearly. Hypoxia is a silent killer. It feels like a slow, drunken fog. Before they could find the source of the problem, both pilots drifted into unconsciousness. For the next hour, the plane flew on autopilot, a massive silver tomb cruising at hundreds of miles per hour. With no response from the crew, the Greek Air Force scrambled 2 F-16 fighter jets to intercept. When the lead fighter pilot pulled alongside the 737 and looked through the windows, he saw a chilling sight. The passengers were slumped motionless in their seats. The captain's chair was empty, and the co-pilot was slumped over the controls. But then, a flicker of movement. A lone figure entered the cockpit and sat down. It was Andreas, a flight attendant. A trained scuba diver with superior lung capacity, he had managed to stay conscious by using portable oxygen bottles. He had crawled through a cabin of unconscious people in a desperate, final attempt to save the flight. The F-16 pilot watched as Andreas put on a headset and moved his hands over the controls. But he had no experience flying a 737. It was a race against time that he was destined to lose. Suddenly, the left engine sputtered and died, flame out from fuel exhaustion. 10 minutes later, the right engine went silent. The F-16 pilot watched helplessly as Andreas looked out the cockpit window, realizing the end had come. At 12:04 p.m., the ghost plane finally fell, slamming into the mountains of Grammatico, just north of Athens. There were no survivors. The investigation later uncovered a detail so small it was almost unbelievable. During a maintenance check earlier that morning, a technician had turned the pressurization switch to manual. He forgot to turn it back to auto. The pilots missed that one single dial on their pre-flight checklist. One switch, no larger than a coin, led to the deaths of 121 people. It's a terrifying reminder that in the high-stakes world of aviation, there is no such thing as a small mistake. The sky is beautiful, but it is unforgiving, and sometimes, the smallest oversight can turn a routine morning into a nightmare that never ends.